All right, go.
All right, so today the purpose of our lab is to look at and recognize chemical reactions and the types of chemical reactions, and ultimately we want to be able to write a balanced chemical reaction for what we're observing in lab. I'm going to do the reactions a little out of order only because reaction 3 takes a little bit of time. And so reaction 3, we have an iron nail here, and inside of our copper sulfate solution, okay, it's copper 2 sulfate, and we're going to put our iron nail in to the solution. And this reaction is going to take some time. Okay, so you can see inside of that we have the iron nail, and we're going to let that react while we go through the rest of the reactions. Okay, that reaction takes some time, so rather than having you guys sit around and wait, we're going to have that react while we go through our other reactions. So reaction 1, we're going to need the Bunsen burner, so let's go ahead and get that lit. Okay, it's going to involve steel wool. Steel wool is mostly just iron that's been put into a wool shape. You can see it's kind of got that silver color. I've spread it out pretty good so that way we have plenty of surface area. The more surface area a reactant has, the faster it's going to react. And so we're going to put the steel wool inside of the Bunsen burner flame and observe what occurs. And you can see it appears like it's catching on fire, but really it's not truly catching on fire. What we have here is an oxidation occurring. Okay, and oxidation just means that the iron is combining with the oxygen in our atmosphere, and it might be a little bit difficult for you to see the color change here, but if we look, we have the steel wool that was in the flame here versus the steel wool outside of the flame here. So we have a comparison of color. Here's normal steel wool, and then we have this kind of bluish color after it's been oxidized in the flame. Now the flame is actually just causing the oxidation. It's not causing the reaction to change. It's not reacting with the gas that's in the Bunsen burner flame. It's reacting with the oxygen in our atmosphere. So we have the iron and the steel wool reacting with oxygen, and we form that kind of a bluish tint to it. And so that's an iron 2 compound that's being formed with oxygen inside of the steel wool after it's been in the flame. So reaction 1, that was the steel wool inside of the flame. Reaction 2, we've got a little bit of sodium bicarbonate inside of a test tube, sodium bicarbonate, also known as sodium hydrogen carbonate. Okay, so if you're looking at the polyatomic ion list, and what we're going to do is we're going to gently heat it, and so we want to make sure as we put it in the flame, we keep the test tube moving. We don't want to just localize that on one spot. And as we heat it, you guys will see that not much appears to actually be occurring with the sodium bicarbonate. So what we're going to do is we're going to test to see if we are producing carbon dioxide here. And if you notice right down at the bottom, you might see some of the sodium bicarbonate appears to kind of be jumping up in the flame a little bit at times. But we're going to do a flame test to see if carbon dioxide is being produced inside of the test tube. So what we're going to do, if the flame goes out from the wood splint inside of here, then carbon dioxide is present. And as you can see, we have carbon dioxide being present there. And the other thing that sodium bicarbonate is breaking down into is water vapor as well, and some oxygen, a little bit of oxygen gas probably is being produced in there as well. So again, the flame test showed that the sodium bicarbonate is decomposing into carbon dioxide and water vapor. Okay, and a little bit of our sodium oxide left over. Coming back here to our reaction with the iron nail and the copper chloride. This is the original one. I had a second one going a little bit earlier, so after just a few short minutes, you can see that nail has turned kind of a copper color, right? It looks kind of like the color of a penny, and ultimately the copper 2 sulfate inside of here is still got some excess copper to sulfate, which is why it's still that bluish tint. Now, if we come over here to the one that we started before we started the video, you guys can see all the copper filings that have come off of the nail. It's kind of falling off there in solution. And we got a much better reaction. And that started about 3 minutes or so before we even started the video. The last reaction has been kind of going since we lit the Bunsen burner. We have our natural gas source coming through the Bunsen burner. We gave it a spark with the striker, and it's reacting with the oxygen in the air. And so our last reaction, we didn't really notice per se, but it's happening right here. All right. So there's your 4 reactions in the types of reaction lab. Your goal here is to write the correct chemical equation and write it as a balanced chemical equation. If you need help with it, please ask. And if you are really struggling with it, then RTI or advisory time would be a good time to make sure that you get some help with this. Thanks. Have a good day.